Hello, hello. Oh, right. Well, I think what I'm going to have to do, my friends, let's see here. I'm going to try one couple more things here. Thank you so much, Mary Beth, for letting me know. Um, you hear me now? Okay, so do I have sound now? Yes? No? So yes. All right. I tell you, we just went through 7 minutes. And hey, I appreciate it, but you know what? I guess we're going to have to start fresh, right? So this gives me a chance to work and hone on my speaking skills and the things that I want to say and that I want to make sure that I get across. So here's where we started. First of all, we started that I hope that you are having an absolutely amazing day. And Mary Beth and the rest of you who let me know that there's no sound, right? Now I wish you plenty of blessings, right? And the Lord is going to definitely reward you for helping me out. Okay. And so what we talked about is that if you celebrate Easter, first of all, I did want to say, hey, have a wonderful Easter. Have a great time with your family and friends in celebrating our Lord. Um, rising from the dead, right? And forgiving all of our sins. Now, if you don't celebrate, well, and you ever want to talk about that, you can always let me know. At the same time, you still belong, right? You still belong in my heart and my efforts to help you. My team and I, we do not care what whether you like the Red Sox or the Yankees. Oh, that's a tough one. Whether you like the Patriots or the Dallas Cowboys or the Pittsburgh Steelers, or what you are for religion or what you are for the ethnicity, we want to help you out. We are available every step of the way. So God bless you. And that was an important thing for me to say. Now, what I wanted to also do was preface, well, what are we going to talk about today? Hey, and Nina, Ivana, thank you so much for joining us, right? We are going to talk about quite a few things. So what I got into first was buying, right? The complete guide to buying. This is a book that I wrote and it has buying secrets. So we're going to talk about those. And that's where I started off. After that, we're also going to talk about the selling secrets, which is the second book that I wrote. And then about probate, which sometimes gets a little bit intense because there's a lot involved with that. So, what I was going over was the home buying programs that are available for you for most people. Now, I'm over here in Hartford, Connecticut area, so we're located in central Connecticut. But most of these programs that are going to mention are definitely Connecticut focused. Some of them are nationwide focused. Okay. So the first one that I had mentioned is that depending on the address where you buy a home, we have a program. I can get you in touch with the right lender if you're my client, right? Because those are the things we work on. We work with helping our clients. So if you are my client, I can get you in touch with someone, or if you're on my team and you're one of my team agents' clients, we can get you in touch with someone who will be willing to give you a $5,000 grant. This grant money you do not have to pay back. Hey, Ricardo, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. So, this grant money you do not have to pay back. This grant money is basically right determined from the address. It doesn't determine it from your credit score. It doesn't determine from how much income you make. It goes by, well, where is the house that you're buying? And so, these are areas that are probably more diverse, which is good, right? And these are areas which, they're trying to improve upon. So they're trying to help buyers get in those areas easier. So if that's something that you think you might be interested, along with anything else we talk about today, All you need to do is DM me, right? Direct message me. And sometimes I don't see those. Most of the time I do. I'll try my best to be on the lookout for those, or just give me a call straight up. So one of the things I was saying earlier is, hey, here I am on the World Wide Web. Hey, KK, thank you so much for joining us. I'm on the World Wide Web here, and I want to give you my phone number, right? It's 860-558-2122. Again, Rob Rosa. I help people with real estate buying and selling, leasing, credit repair, and the real estate pre-licensing classes here in Connecticut. And my phone number is 860-558-2122. Please don't call me during these lives because I can't answer the phone. But, a lot of times you might want to text me or give me a call. And if I can't answer, either myself or someone from my team will answer you back as soon as possible. So if you like that I'm giving you my phone number, give me some likes. And if you like some of the things we're going to talk about, because we also have a lot to talk about here today, definitely share this with people that you care about. Okay. So we talked about the $5,000 grant. We also have mortgage programs with some of you might be familiar with, where you can get a no money down program depending upon your income and your credit scores. And remember, of course, if your credit scores are not where they need to be, well, I can help you in many cases get that score where it needs to be in order for you to buy that home. And so that program, no money down, and there's even a program that you can combine with that where you can get a $25,000 interest-free loan. So that's available for our team's clients. Mary Beth, she's here on Facebook, Mary Beth Martinez. She might be one of those people you want to reach out to on my team, right? Reach out to me, reach out to her. There's Ron Swiller, there's Angela Aiello, there's Paul Darialt, there's Chris Batista. I mean, I can go, there's Oscar Escobar, there's Jaden Harris, there's Sandra Lopez, there's Patricia Harris. I don't want to leave anybody out. I mean, I have a pretty great team. But you reach out to someone on my team, and they will be able to help you learn about the $25,000 interest-free loan. They will be able to help you learn about the $5,000 grant. And now we also have another program. And, I just want you to know there's different mortgage lenders that I work with. They're great people. We only, the Rosa team, Rob Rosa team, we only associate ourselves with mortgage people that we can trust. Right. And so each one of these is from different mortgage people. So I have another one where we can create a portal for you, right? We can create a fund, almost like a GoFundMe, right? But this is not exactly, hey, thank you so much, KK, for liking it. I appreciate it. And for those of you that are liking it, I appreciate. So basically, some people might have a hard time saving for a down payment. Have you ever heard of that happening before? Robert, thank you so much for joining us. Saving for a down payment. So we have an online down payment gifting solution. Are you serious, Rob? Well, you know it. Okay. We have a down payment gifting solution that someone, and it could be anyone in the whole world, who wants to give you some money towards your down payment, they're going to be able to, right? It doesn't have to be just relatives. It could be something along the lines of, it's your birthday. Maybe you had a child. Maybe there was a wedding anniversary. Maybe you're newly married, whatever it might be. And you tell people, hey, listen, I really don't need a gift. I don't need, what do people buy? Right? I don't need a new knickknack. I don't need a new blanket. I don't need the flowers. I don't need a new vase. I don't need the new china. I want the money to buy a house for me and my family so that I can live comfortably or I can feel safe in my own place. And you can give them a QR code or a link, and they can put this money into an account. And then this lender, on their behalf and my behalf, right? They're going to match the contributions up to $2,000. And in fact, they're going to do a $2 for $1 match on the contributions up to $2,000. So if you want to get $2,000 to help you buy a house, we have that program available. Have you ever heard of that before? I mean, I think it's really cool. It's something that's really different. Is it for everyone? No. But it is for the serious buyers, people who want to take advantage of something that's available to them. So that program is available if you need it, if you want it, you just give me a call and we're going to talk about it. Right. Of course, it's going to mean that you become my client before we share the info, or you become a client of one of my team members. We're not just going to go out there and say, hey, everybody, go talk to someone else. Come and talk to us. If there's loyalty, if there's motivation, and you really want to work on this, we can help you. Now, in order to help more buyers, we do have programs with down payment and closing cost assistance. So we have another program that you can do some stacking, right? Isn't that cool? So we have this program where you can do up to $1,500 of grant money, and then do the $2,000 home funded grant. And there's $3,500 in grant funds right there. So I have one company that's going to be able to give you 5,000 depending upon the address. I have another company lender that's going to be able to give you $25,000 interest-free loan towards your down payment, no money down. I have another company that's going to be able to stack some programs and give you $3,500 in grant funds. And all of these are programs with low down payments, and the credit scores are, I would say, is probably the best in the industry. And the reason why is because some of these are government related loans, right? Some of these are government related programs, and you do have to have some pre-qualification, right? You do have to make sure that that credit score is looking decent. Probably, we don't have the exact number like, oh, this is the only score, but it's, usually you want to be above 640s. Can we get you a loan or a mortgage lower than 640? Definitely. That can definitely happen. Can we get it to 580? Yes, but you're not going to get the no money down. And it's almost impossible to get the no money down program. Thank you, Mary Beth. It's almost impossible to get you the lowest interest rate, the lowest closing costs, because the lower your score is, right, the more risk you are to the lender. So the lender is going to charge you more money. You might be mad about that, but just to be straight and truthful with you, that's business, my friends. This is the way business works. So the higher that we can get your credit score, the better off you are going to be. All right. So, anyways, that's some of the major things. Now, let's not, finish off on buying. We still got a lot to talk about when it comes to buying. And I want to give you a lot of good advice right from my book. And if you want a copy of this book, all you need to do is give me a call or text me, right? I'll give you a free copy of the book. I probably want to have a quick little discussion with you. And I'm not going to hound you or hassle you to give you a free copy of my book. But of course, do I want to know where you live and if you plan on buying? Yeah, maybe a little bit. So I need to know where you live so I can send the book. I mean, I do also have an electronic version that I put together. Actually it was an electronic version first before it was printed. And hey, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. So if you want a copy of the book, I give it to you free of charge. Technically, one of my sons got mad at me. He's like, how come you're not selling these on Amazon, Rob? And I just had a guy yesterday that he's into psychology and motivation and abuse, which, I was like, oh my gosh. And he has a book. I think he has 2 books on Amazon. He's like, you got to put your books on Amazon. And I'm like, listen, I didn't really write them for that. I just wanted to put together a really good guide with some kind of like my own little secrets on paper and then be able to share them with people. So I'm not necessarily charging, but they're saying that I should be charging 19.99. That's what my publisher, the guy who the people who printed it out, they're like, "Oh, you got to be charging 19.99." So, I don't like horror. I don't like horror. I'm not gonna and you might be like, "Oh, then forget it, Rob. I can't relate to you." Well, I don't like to sit there with the scary stuff being put in my mind. And then at night, I'm like, not that I'm scared. Maybe I am a little scared, but I'm not scared because I know I got the Lord. But like you're sleeping at night and all these weird things come from those horror stories. But I got to share with you some buyer horror stories because if I share these with you, okay, hopefully you're going to be able to avoid the problem. Okay. So let's kind of share some of these with people. So we know that buying a home is one of the biggest investments, biggest achievements. Do we agree that it is an achievement? It takes some effort. I mean, you're going to think I'm making this up and I'm not complaining about it, but I walked in my house at 10 of 9 last night because I showed 7 or 8 houses. I can't even remember 7 or 8 houses yesterday. And I was from one house to the next. And my buyers are great people. They're very particular. I don't want to disparage them at all. I'm very grateful that I have them. Right. And I want to help them. So we know it takes hard work to be a buyer. We're on my team, we're able to make it easier, but it takes hard work and we have to be a little bit on the defense because we don't want to be victims of real estate horror stories. So here's a little example. Let's just call this person Alex, right? They were limited with some pricing options. They were looking for a first time home type of thing. And we're talking about in my area, let's just say central Connecticut, right? A first time home is about 250. I mean, under 250, can you find a home? Yes, but you're going to know that it needs some work. So Alex went to several banks. She got pre-approved for different amounts at various interest rates, just like I went over the programs that I have available for you. She found her dream condo and she decided to go with the lowest rate of 4% offered by her lender. Sounds pretty good, right? Now, remember, when I wrote this book, it was about 2 years ago. Okay. So maybe 2, 3 years ago. So 4% was pretty darn good, right? 4%, that was the way to go. Today's world, if you can get 6.5%, that's the way to go. You're doing pretty darn good on April 17th, 2025, if you can get a mortgage for about 6.5%. Okay. So, anyways, Alex completed all her paperwork and she even put down a 10% deposit. Now, the rate was not only her deciding factor. She had been very, very asked a lot of questions. She wanted to make sure that she knew the process. And, basically what was happening is that all of a sudden, after we got a signed purchase and sale agreement and we submitted the application, the final application to the lender, all of a sudden it seemed like the lender or the bank's cooperation dropped off the map. All of a sudden they were no longer available so easily. It made her feel like, wow, did I go with the right people? Because I just tried to get the lowest interest rate. I didn't really know these people. They weren't referred to me by anyone. And as soon as I filled out the application and got the signed purchase and sale agreement, it almost maybe, I'm not saying it did, but maybe that lender or that bank felt like, hey, I got these people locked in, right? I got these people locked in. So all of a sudden, it seemed like the bank's cooperation dropped off the map. a closing process that should have taken 30 days or less, right? And that's what we're trying to go to. So when you make an offer with me, I'm going to talk to that lender. And if everybody wants to move quickly, I'm going to try to make them give us a mortgage commitment letter in about 3 weeks, sometimes four at the most, depending on what program, because we know that some government related programs could take longer than others. But we usually want to have a closing in 4 to 5 weeks. That's what we push for. So, anyways, it basically took from 30 days into a couple of months because now that all of a sudden to get that 4% interest rate, oh, we need a larger deposit. Oh, we need your a full IRS transcript. Oh, there was a Verizon cell phone bill, I remember, that was like 7 or 8 years old for $200, and that needs to be paid. Basically, what I'm telling you is that all these surprises came up. And usually, when you have surprises or too many surprises, well, there you go. There is the horror story beginning, right? So, anyways, the seller ultimately said, "Hey, listen, um, we can't wait any longer. You need to make some decisions with this lender. We cannot wait there and basically wait for you just because you want to get the lowest interest rate. We cannot wait any longer to close." And it turned out that the first lender was basically a scam artist, right? It turned out that that first lender, they did not have, they were technically a company that didn't have the money. They were reaching out to investors to try to get someone, and they did not have that person. So you need to know who you're dealing with, my friends. And that's why some people, especially I've been doing this for 25 years. So I remember a few years back when the internet started getting really big. Let's just make pretend it was like 2007 or 8. I mean, of course, we had the internet before then, but every year it seems like we're getting more and more info and help, and people were like, "Oh, pretty soon we don't need loan officers. Pretty soon we don't need real estate agents because people can just go on the internet and find whatever they want." And in some cases, that's true. But if they don't find the right people, they don't do their research, that's where we run into problems. So, again, and we're going to go over another story right now. If you like what you're hearing, of course, likes and shares are very, very important. And if you have a horror story that you want to share in the chat, please put it in there. Also, as a reminder, you ever want to give me a call and talk more about how my team and I might be able to help you? And I know people nationwide. So if you're watching this and you're in Missouri or Arkansas or Florida or New Mexico or Colorado, I know people. Okay. And I can get you in touch, whether it's with the right lender or the right real estate agent. You just let me know. I want to encourage you to know that, hey, I'm someone who cares about you, and I'm going to give you honest, caring advice and be able to put you in touch with the right people to help you. All right, so let's talk again. This is from my book, and there's more information here that you can get this book for free. So let's talk about Ron and Jenna, right? They were planning on upgrading to a new home. Hey, who doesn't want to do that? They wanted something bigger. They wanted something nicer. So, we took a long time to find that new home, right? The new home that we found them had a bright and colorful kitchen, open living and dining areas, right? Who doesn't love open space? Okay. 3 bathrooms, high ceilings. I mean, come on. When I walk into a home and it has high ceilings, it just makes me feel like, the house is just a nicer home, right? You just feel like it's more open, it's spacious, and you don't feel closed in and so forth. And then it had a fireplace, and it actually had, I should have wrote this in the book. but it actually had a see-through fireplace. The same, I saw one of these houses again yesterday, over here in New Britain. Had a see-through fireplace because so you can be in one room and see the fireplace, and then you can be on the other side in a different room and see the fireplace. And then it even had a covered porch, which makes the home definitely seem perfect. So at the time, we're talking a few years back, Ron and Jenna, they were all pumped up, and I didn't use the real names for people, but the price was only about $235,000. And that, my friends, was kind of like a steal. And one of the reasons why is because, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, maybe I am a little bit, right? But I did some heavy duty negotiating, right? I talked to that seller agent before they even made an offer. We talked about what was most important to the seller. We went through everything, every step of the way, to bring the price down, right? So they made a purchase and sale agreement, right? They signed it, and they were in the house a little more than a month later. Well, less than 6 months later, the horror story began to unfold. Jenna was cleaning one of the bathrooms, and she noticed all these little tiny ants, right? And they were these little ants with wings. There's something to remind you. There's something you're going to learn from that. Remember, the details are so, so, so important. Little ants with wings. Let's get back to that. So she spoke to her husband, and he called an exterminator. Well, when the exterminator showed up at the house, the first thing they said was, "Hey, these are not ants, my friend. These are termites." Uh-oh. So the exterminator went under the house to assess the damage. He found that not only was the floor under the bathroom completely infested, right? But also the other two bathrooms. And the infestation was spreading to more of the house. And the repairs, and not only to treat the termites, because that's usually not the most expensive thing, but to treat the sill, right? And I remember, the sill is the wood that's between basically the frame of the house and the foundation. And I remember it was even at the front door. So like if you went in the basement and went where the front door is, and it was right there that the sill was like all eaten up. And if you went outside of the house and went to go walk in the house, that first step, if you were really close to the threshold, you could tell there was a problem. Okay. So, anyways, the grand total $12,000. Okay. $12,000 they had to spend, and they lived in that house for about 6 months. Now, I'm not here to scare you, but one of the things that I had mentioned is that the buyers, which, hey, they didn't want to do an inspection. That was up to them. But I did say, hey, do you want to do termite inspection, or we call it wood destroying insect inspection? Because that'll only run you about $125, $150. And I can tell you it's probably worth its money. I'm not here to really, really disparage people, but I think sometimes inspections, depending on the inspector and what you're looking to do, I don't know. To me, there's some houses that everything looks great and it feels great, but you should still do the basic, right? Do the basic at the minimum, right? So, anyways, these people didn't want to do it. They wanted to save the money, and really, when it came down to it, Ron, which that's not his real name, and Jenna's father, they thought they knew everything about houses, right? And anytime I tried to give any kind of advice, because that's what I'm here for, I'm not going to be buying the house for you, right? It's not about me just opening up a door and walk into the house and say, "Look, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, here is the kitchen." Come on, you're going to know that that's the kitchen, right? My job, the way that I look at it for the past 25 years, is to give you honest, caring advice. right? That's my job. Consult risk management so you don't lose your deposit, risk management so maybe you don't buy a house that needs all kinds of work, because I'm going to walk through the house from the first moment with you. And I'm going to say, hey, did you see the rotted wood around the windows? Did you see the chimney? Look up there. Now, of course, I'm going to give you the disclaimer 17 times. Hey, I'm not an inspector, so don't think I'm acting like an inspector, but know that what from my experience and my knowledge, this is a yellow flag, right? This is an alert, 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 alert. Hey, caution, slow down. You might want to make a note of this. You might want to have someone check this, because here I am ready to help you get to the next step. And I am feeling a little bit nervous for you. Right. So, anyways, to the whole point of that horror story is, if you're going to make a huge investment into a home that you don't really know everything about, a small price of precaution is worth it, right? A small price of precaution is worth it. All right. I want to tell you one more buyer story before we move on to selling secrets and some of the things that we can do for you to be able to sell a property for the most money possible in the best time frame for you. So once again, if you like what you're hearing, if you feel comfortable, likes and shares, especially, both are great. Likes and shares, likes and shares. And if you want to talk more or get copies of my books, I'll give you a free copy of one book, right? Just give me a call or DM me. My phone number, 860-558-2122. We're going to take a quick little sip of coffee from my Yeti Berkshire Hathaway Home Services New England Properties mug. This is a mug which was really cool that we received. I got to fix it on my hand here. Our team got, right, for being in the top 1% of the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Network. Once again, not to brag, but just to let you know, you are talking, if you reach out to me or someone from my team, you're talking with someone, number one, who has the experience or knowledge and has supporting evidence that they have been successful in helping a lot of people. And that's very, very important if you were to ask me. So let's talk about this other story from my book about a woman, right? That I was in Starbucks, right? And I'm that person, my friend. I'm in Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts all the time. First off, I love coffee. Second off, I do not want to sit in an office. Years ago, I had this wonderful corporate job, and it was paying good money. But guess what? I had to sit in that office all day long, and just that one box, that one room. And yes, I would be able to walk from one box down a hallway into another box, which was a conference room, so that I can have a speakerphone conference. I'd have 10, 15 people in front of me and a speakerphone conference with another 30 people on there. And then I'd get to walk from that box down the hallway to the other box. So I can't do it. I just can't. And that's why you're going to notice, if you see me out, you're going to see me out in coffee shops. So here I am. Hey, Jacqueline, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining our live. All right. KK, thank you as well. So here I am. I am in a coffee shop, and this woman is talking about an incredible first time buyer story. And I overheard the conversation. Right now, in my book, just for the sake of things, it says, so I decided to step in and ask about it. But she was looking at me, and I had my cards. I had my business cards on the table, and I had my laptop out. And I had on, at the time, I think I had a suit on with the realtor pin. Okay. And she kind of looked at me, and she's talking about this home buyer story. So I said, listen, I'm a real estate broker here in the area. I can possibly help out. Okay. And so what was happening, I gave her in the book, I said, hey, Sue, right? Sue and her fiance were searching for their first home with the intention of buying one before their wedding. All right. So that sounds great. I'm like, man, I'm so excited about you. And they told me about this great real estate agent where they wanted to, in the same town that they wanted to call home. So they looked him up to ask his help in finding the right home. Okay. The problem was that the only praise they heard about him was from clients who had hired him to sell homes, not from home buyers. So you see, I can tell you very straightforwardly, I'm well versed in both. Me particular, Rob Rosa, right? And I believe that most of my team members, if not all, are well versed in both. But there are some agents out there that they only know and only want to be just a buyer's agent or just a seller's agent. And you want to make sure that if you're looking to buy a home, you talk with this person. Hey, how many homes have you helped people buy? Do you feel comfortable with helping people buy? Do you feel comfortable being out at this time or that time in order, at night or on the weekends in order to show me homes? Are you going to be available to show me homes? Are you going to be available for me to ask questions? Are you going to reach out to the listing agent before we make an offer and try to get some info and insight? Will you do a buyer's comparative market analysis for me before I put an offer on a home? Will you talk with me about the ways in which we can protect my deposit? I mean, the list can go on and on and on about why you want to be careful in making sure that you get the right agent. So, anyways, and I'm not going to give names, I'm not going to disparage a particular agent. So, the agent met up, she was complaining to me that her agent met up with them to go over different homes. And then when it was time to go look at them, right, there was one home that he just kept talking and talking and talking about. And wouldn't you know, what home was it? Well, guess what? It was the home that he had for sale. Right? You see, I am not, and I strongly believe, right, there's a thing called commission breath. Now, right now, I'll be straightforward, my friends. If you're within 1 foot of me, you're going to smell coffee. Okay. I actually just spilled a little bit more coffee on me from shaking around that thing. So if you're within 1 foot of me, you're going to smell coffee, but you're not going to smell commission breath. And so what I'm trying to tell you is that to me, it doesn't matter exactly. I mean, I'm going to give you my advice, my caring advice. You can go buy whatever home you want to buy, whatever home you love for some reason or another, you go and buy it. As long as you buy a home, in my opinion, because I think unless there's certain exceptions to this rule, like, oh, I'm going to move out of state within or out of the area within 3 years. I want to wait until I get this big settlement. I need to right now. I'm in between jobs, so if you have certain exceptions such as that you don't want to buy a house and you want to keep renting, and I'm talking about Connecticut. Okay. So here's an exception to the rule. If you live in New York City, well, people love to just rent a unit, rent an apartment in New York City, a big metropolitan area, in Boston, in Los Angeles. But if you're in Connecticut and you don't own a home and you're stuck on renting, well, I can tell you, my friend, you're probably most people, and this is a very blanket statement, so somebody might get mad at me, but most people are just wasting a lot of money. Now, I know this guy. I actually met with, well, this guy and this lady probably like 2 weeks ago, and they said they're only paying like $1,000 a month for a 3 bedroom because it's their uncle that's renting them the place. Then that's one thing. They're saving like $1,500. But if you're paying market rent, right? Market rent is like $1,800 for a 2 bedroom. In fact, there's some 1 bedrooms with this whole big thing about luxury apartments, right? Which I'm not a big fan of. There's some 1 bedrooms that are being sold for, I mean, rented out for $2,000 a month just because they have a little pet spa where you can wash your little dog at, and they got a lobster truck that comes every Thursday night and charges you $30 for a lobster roll. So you think you're a big shot, so you're going to spend $2,000 a month on a 1 bedroom studio where you still have to pay all utilities as well? That's a ripoff. Come on. Go buy a house, build some wealth, build some equity. And it sounds like I'm giving you very strong talk, but I'm telling you the basics of what people believe is best for you to grow wealth, for you to be able to build equity in the long run. Because the statistics show that most homeowners become wealthier, much more wealthier, a lot faster than renters. Okay. So, anyways, Sue and her husband were working with this agent. We'll get back to this, right? And right away, they kept looking. That agent kept on pushing them towards this one particular house. And right away, they saw that there were problems with this house. The basement doorway was weak, right? That thing was falling apart. The upstairs bathroom floor bounced. That you do not want a bouncy floor in a bathroom. What does that mean? Or a soft floor, right? It means, and please put in your comments if you have questions or things you want to talk about more. It basically means there's rotted wood underneath that tile or that linoleum, or if it's even nastier, yes, I said that word, carpet, because I saw some houses with carpet. I've been seeing houses with carpet, and that's no fun, right? Who wants a house with carpet in the bathroom? Carpet in the bathroom or the kitchen is a big no-no. Other rooms, okay, if that's what you're into. But carpet in the bathroom or the kitchen is a big no-no. Don't do it. And if you see a house with it, know that once you pull up that carpet, it can be very, very bad, disgusting, and cost you a lot of money. Okay. So, anyways, the upstairs bathroom floor bounced, and the light switches in the hallway seemed to pop and flicker. Come on, go in the house to, well, sometimes we walk into a house like yesterday out of the 7 or 8, I got to remember. Let's just say it was 8 homes. Out of the 8, there were 2 houses that we walked in and they said, listen, we don't want you touching don't touch the lights, leave them on. Because usually what's happening in many cases, especially because we have low inventory, is that they have back-to-back showings. One of the houses we went to, there were 2 buyers walking around the house. They had overlapping showings. So you don't even touch the lights because there's so many people walking in and out and all that kind of good stuff. But anyways, if you see the lights pop and flicker, right? But the house was nicely painted. Oh yeah, anybody can put up some nice paint in a house, right? So when confronted with these concerns, so they asked their agent, Sue was telling me, hey, what could we do about these problems? And the agent replied that they could always fix those problems later. Well, I can tell you, my friend, that is not a good reply. I don't think that's an acceptable reply. So although their gut, what's your gut, right? What's your gut saying? How about, are you saying some prayers? And what's the wisdom that you're getting from up above? Right? What's your gut telling you? What's that little, we always see there's one holy angel on one shoulder and the evil angel on the other shoulder. What's that angel that's looking out for you? What's the Holy Spirit? What are they saying? Right? Well, their gut told them not to move forward with making a purchase. Don't do it, they said. Don't do it. Don't move forward. So they agreed to a $10,000 price reduction and took the house. Oh, well, we are saving $10,000 more, and they took the house. Well, that was a big mistake. The problems they had noticed went much deeper. The weak basement door, well, guess what? That translated into unfortified walls leading downstairs, right? So there were wall problems in the basement. The bouncy bathroom floor had been wet under the linoleum, and about 3 inches up to the walls from the bottom of the from the floor up the walls was ruined, right? Was, and I hate to say this word, molding. Now, right now, if you really know me, and that's one of the reasons I try to drink coffee too, because I think it helps me get my metabolism and things going. I grew up with bad asthma, right? And every springtime when we were kids, a lot of the eighth grade trip to Washington, D.C. Has anybody ever done that eighth grade trip to Washington, D.C.? Well, I was in the hospital during that. And I'm not trying to make anybody feel sad, but it's the truth. The sophomore trip, high school sophomore trip to Hershey Park, right? I was in the hospital for that for about a week. I didn't go because I had bad respiratory. Even a couple of houses I went to yesterday, one of them in particular really kind of got me. And, and I tell my buyers, hey, I'm sorry, I need to walk outside. And some buyers still they just don't get it. They're not worried about the mold. Well, guess what? I'm worried about the mold because I think that mold could have huge future effects for you. Okay. So, anyways, be careful. So, this lady Sue, they moved into the house. They noticed that bouncy floor was rotted out. There were 3 inches of rot up two of the walls. The flickering light switches that were warning them of the outdated wiring had to be replaced. In the end, their $10,000 savings on buying that house only helped to give them a bit of consolation when they paid $27,000 for all of the remodeling. So that 5-bedroom house that was in the beautiful country area that had the wooded lot and the long circular driveway, that was less than $180,000. Seemed like a steal, but guess what? It wasn't a bargain. So you're going to walk. Hey, Joy, thank you so much for joining us. If you start getting on that home search, we're talking about buyer horror stories right now. Start getting on that home search. You're going to be walking through a house and be like, oh, this house is great for the price. And, oh, I can just fix this easy and fix that easy. Well, if you are not being honest with yourself, there is such a thing as too good to be true when it comes to real estate. And I'm going to be that person to remind you, hey, this could be too good to be true. Be careful. And a lot of times, buyers will answer. I've listened to me. And a lot of times, guess what? Buyers are not going to listen to me because they think they know better. And they moved on buying this house, and it actually cost them about $17,000 out of their pocket because it did cost them 27 grand. But they feel like, well, we got the $10,000, and then they were telling me, what could we do? Right? Could we sue the real estate agent? Could we sue the seller? That's what they were asking me in Starbucks with this horror story. Can we sue them for that money? So the first thing I had to tell them is I'm not a lawyer, right? I can't give you financial advice. Well, what do you think? And I said, well, I'll tell you what, here's what I think that I know. But once again, I'm not a lawyer. Please don't use this as the final statement. From what I know is when you bought the home, when you buy a home, you get a residential property condition disclosure report, right? And there are some exceptions, like if it's an estate, meaning in probate, someone passed away, or if it was a foreclosure, and the bank is selling it, they don't always have to give it to you, but let's just say 90 something percent of the time, you have to get this residential property condition disclosure. Okay, so I said you should go through that. Now, once you go through that, if you can prove that the seller or the real estate agent lied directly, then in my opinion, maybe you'll have a case, maybe you'll have a lawyer or an attorney that will be willing to help you sue them. But how do you prove it? And I'd say, well, do you know any local contractors that maybe were at the house? Do you know, maybe you talked to the neighbors, and if that person was complaining, oh, I can't believe this, I can't believe that this house, the basement floods every time it rains, and they were complaining to the neighbor, then you can maybe bring the neighbor in as a witness. And if it says no flooding or no water in the basement on the residential condition disclosure report, but you have a neighbor who is willing to be the witness and testify that the seller knew about it and was always complaining about it, then maybe you have a case. But otherwise, I don't know or believe that you have a case in order to be able to sue them. But once again, if you want to talk to an attorney, I know you can do that. Or you can talk to, of course, anybody you want to. So that's kind of like our horror stories with buyers. So remember, what we've done so far this morning is we've talked about the home buyer programs that I have available, including the Fund It program where you can get $2,000. We talked about the $5,000 grant. We talked about the Borrow Smart program where you can get maybe another $1,500. We talked about the $25,000 interest-free loans, the no money down programs that I have available. And so in many cases, we are able to help you get to where you want to be. And we're able to help give you the advice that's caring and honest, because we want to help you buy a house, but not a specific house. And that you can give me or someone from my team, the Rob Rosa team, a call back right away, and we'll be able to, or call right away, and we'll be able to help you. You want to reach me directly and even get a copy. And we're going to talk right now about selling next. But if you want to get a copy of this book, I know it's backwards, right? And there's me with a suit on and my hair, right? The Complete Guide to Buying a Home. I have this available for you free of charge. You and I just need to have a little conversation really quick. No hassle, no obligation. You're not signing anything to get a free book. All you need to do is let's talk for a minute or so just to build a little relationship, and then we can go from there. So if there's any questions about buying, please put them in the chat, right? Because we're going to move on to selling. Right, we're going to talk about selling here today. But if there's questions about buying, put your questions in the chat, and then I will be able to help you every step of the way, or we'll see if we can do that. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today, and again, this is my book if you want a copy of it. Okay. Some common seller mistakes. Right? We're going to talk about some common seller mistakes. So you might be thinking right now, hey, I want to put my house on the market and I want to downsize. I want to put my house on the market and I want to upsize. I want to relocate, and you have some hesitation. Well, I can promise you all you need to do right from the start. Hey, Joy, thanks again. Appreciate the wave. All you need to do is give me a call, 860-558-2122, and we can talk about it. At the same time, request the book and I'll get this for you. So I got a list of seller mistakes regarding house listing prices that can help you avoid the pitfalls involved in selling your home. If setting a price was simple and straightforward, you would not need assistance. Save yourself time and money by avoiding these costly pricing mistakes. So, one of the things I can tell you is don't go by Zillow, right? Don't go necessarily by homes.com, by realtor.com. These are algorithms, my friend. They have not been in your home. They do not know the exact difference between your house and the house next door. If you get a professional like me or someone from the Rob Rosa team, you are going to have someone walk through your home, sit down, talk with you, and discuss the differences. So there's a thing besides guessing versus researching, right? Guessing versus researching. So basing your home price on what the neighbor down the street listed his home for is not a reliable method. Nothing loses potential buyers faster than an overpriced home. Subsequent price lowering makes it look like you're getting desperate to sell. So, of course, the more you have to lower pricing, which, I like to do kind of a little increments, but the bigger the number you have to lower, and the longer the home is on the market or the property's on the market. Because remember, I also help people with commercial, right? I am that true, and I feel like I'm good at it, the jack of all trades, because one minute I can help you sell a $300,000 home, and I have a process and system in place that is awesome, right? Because I have a photographer, right? I have a stager. I'm able to walk through the homes, and then the next minute, I'm very familiar with selling a garage or a restaurant. I've sold a pizza restaurant. I've sold a nail salon. I've sold barbershops. I've sold I've got a gas station for sale. I've sold warehouse space. And I just think it's probably because of my experiences that's why I'm able to do it. But remember, you do not want to overprice or underprice from the beginning. If you have it too long, a lower listing price, right, might help you sell faster if that's your goal, but it might leave some money, could leave thousands of dollars on the table. If you put the initial listing price too high, well, what's going to happen? You're not going to get any showings. I had a woman, and if she's watching this, which I highly doubt she's watching this, because it was a daughter of one of my sellers. And, it was kind of a weird thing. She was home for the holiday, which is on Sunday. And she said right to my face, I don't want to hear it, because I showed her, look, and this is crazy stuff. Look at my reports. This home in the past 7 weeks has had over 70,000 online views. Because I can promise you that when we put a home on the market, we don't just put it on the MLS, which is the multiple listing service, and move on in our lives, right? I spend money right from the start. I'm the one who's spending money marketing the property. So if the home doesn't sell right from the start, I'm the one that is basically spending that time, that energy, and money right out of my pocket. Okay. So if you price your home too high, you don't get enough showings. And this one woman said, well, I'm not concerned with online views. I want a contract. I want the home just sold. And I had to say, hey, listen, I understand what you're saying, but there's a process, step by step by step by step by step. And the process is, let's put the home out there to get the most exposure in the nicest way possible. First, we have to have nice pictures. We have to have a nice description. We maybe have to have a nice video. Let's get the home out there in a way in which it's going to entice people. Then we're going to get more showings. And once we get more showings, then we're going to hopefully get an offer. Very rarely does it happen. Yes, but very rarely are we going to get an offer on a house without a showing. Okay. So, anyways, we are going to learn how to price your house the right way. The comparative market analysis, or the CMA, is your best source for setting an asking price. If a home in your area sells for a low price, don't assume yours is worth the same amount. That home may have had condition issues or a personal issue requiring a very swift sale. So, once again, those online tools, they're not going to know about condition issues. They're not going to know about personal issues. If you go by those numbers, that's guessing. Your home might have something to offer that the other one did not. So if you want to make more money, there's your opportunity. Let the comparative market analysis, the CMA, be your guide along with the advice of a real estate professional. Okay. So that's the point there. Let the CMA be your guide, my friend. All right. Now, choosing a real estate agent simply because they suggested a higher price for your home, mistake. Well, sometimes I have people call me and said, well, what do you think I can sell my house for? And I said, well, I'd love to do a quick little walkthrough. I promise I won't take too much of your time up. When can we schedule that? Well, this agent said that they can sell it for this amount. Can you sell it for that amount? They're the highest price. They gave me they told me I could sell my house about $30,000-$40,000 higher than any other agent has told me. Can you do that? And a lot of times I have to explain to them, it doesn't really, really matter. And, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it doesn't matter what that agent said they can sell the house for necessarily. What does the data look like? What does the comparative market analysis look like? Because you don't want to automatically go with the realtor that has the highest price suggestion. That real estate agent maybe doesn't sell any homes, right? What's the experience of that real estate agent? Do they know the area? How many homes have they actually sold? Do they know the type of home? How was the relationship, the discussion between you and that other agent? Did it feel cordial? Did it feel respectful? Did it feel honest? Did it feel caring? Or did it feel like they were just trying to get the listing? Because we're not looking for listings. We're looking to sell homes. Yes, of course, to sell the home, I need to have the listing. Okay. But, that's not my number one goal. My number one goal is to help you get to where you want to be or need to be. So, just because they suggested a higher price for your home than other agents is not in your best interest. A good realtor will know more about the market for your home than you do. Oh, nobody knows my home better than I do. No way, Rob. I don't believe that. I don't agree. Come on. Right? A a doctor is going to know more about a disease most of the time than you do. Yes, you're going to go through the pain and the suffering, but they're going to know what's the true issues are, what they can do to help you, and all that kind of good stuff. Hey, Nate Cisco, thank you so much for commenting, my friend. I appreciate you. Love you, my man. Can't wait to see you and Jessica soon. Appreciate you. Right. So a good realtor will know more about the market for your home than you do. Pick an agent who can provide you with real numbers and solid marketing plans. That's what I love. That's what I have. That's what I spend my time and money on. Solid marketing plan. What's their strategy for selling your house? Are they giving you something vanilla? Are they giving you something that every other agent is going to do? Or can you ask them, hey, what do you do different? Now, of course, there's nothing new under the sun, but are they putting in the extra effort? How many open houses are they going to do? My team and I, we're doing open houses all the time. Where are they going to post the home? How much, maybe not asking the exact budget, because I probably don't share the exact number, because it's different on every house and it's kind of like my secret sauce type of stuff. But do they have a system in place that's more than just the multiple listing service? And when have they done it before? Right? What's the experience? Are they selling most of the homes, right? Because it can't be every single home. That's almost impossible. But they selling many or most of the homes above the asking price. That means they're working it. How are they going to work it when there are multiple offers? Oh man, I don't know. I'm going down this road. I might be able to do this all morning. This is crazy. This is something. Here's another pet peeve, right? Because it bothers me because to me, it's being a lazy agent. You got 10 offers and you say, all right, we want all final and best by Thursday at 5 o'clock. And I'm just going to, that agent, we want all final and best by Thursday at 5 o'clock. And then at 5 o'clock, I'm going to print these out or I'm going to email them to the seller and I'm going to tell them which ones are the best and we're just going to accept one. Is that what you're hiring an agent for? I don't go for that. That's a bunch of baloney, right? What I do, and I hate to give out some of my secrets, but I'm doing it right here. And hopefully you're going to call me when you need me, 860-558-2122, or you're going to DM me and I'm going to give you a free copy of my book. The point is I work every offer to the max. So I might be negotiating and I'm in this right now. And that's why I can't be on social media all day long. I'm having 4, 5, 6 discussions, 4 or 5 negotiations with different buyers on the same property because I'm working those negotiations to get my seller, because that's who I'm working for at that moment, to get my seller the highest price. I'm not just going to sit back and wait. What kind of, and some of these agents that are just emailing and texting people and don't even have a discussion, that's negotiations? I don't think so. Right? So make sure that agent you choose, right, they have a solid marketing plan, they're knowledgeable in the area, they're trustworthy, and they're quick to answer questions or concerns about the sales process. Don't just go with the one that suggests the highest price. Make sure that they are going to work for you, right? That's important. Make sure they're going to work for you because that's what you're paying them for. How about subjective pricing? Well, a lot of people might not know. This is in my book about the secret selling tips. A lot of people might not know, well, what's subjective pricing? Selling your home is a business transaction between a qualified buyer and yourself. A business transaction between a qualified buyer and yourself. If you have enjoyed living in your home for years, but have decided to move on, don't let emotional attachments to the home affect how you price it. I mean, that's a tough one because I really care for people. And if people get emotional, I'm probably going to get emotional because I don't want to see other people hurting type of thing. I want them to feel happy. And that's probably, one of my, I guess it's a good thing, but it could also be a bad thing. The whole point is that you cannot let emotional attachments to the home affect how you price it. The most objective price will come from the CMA provided by someone, right, like me. Okay. So once again, the most objective pricing, I want to make sure I say this correctly. Objective pricing will come from the CMA provided by your real estate agent. Okay. Memorable moments spent in your home. Yes, they're priceless. They're wonderful, but they do not add to the selling price. Oh my gosh, I can't forget how many Easter egg hunts we had here. Remember the time that Santa came by? Remember the beautiful nativity scene that we used to put out? Remember us sitting by the pool, sitting on the front porch, seeing the sunset? Remember we did this, we did that, but it doesn't increase the price of the home. It's also unrealistic to add dollars because of the labor spent making the home into the home you desired. So that actually happened yesterday. The seller was at the home and we were looking at it, one of those 8 homes. And this gentleman, he was on a loop, right? And he was an older guy, but I feel like I'm getting older too, and I hope I don't get that way. He was on a loop where he just kept telling us the same stories. Hey, Frederick, thank you so much for joining us. Red, thank you so much for joining us. We're going over seller secrets and tips, and we're talking about subjective pricing. And so this one particular seller, he was on a loop, meaning he just kept telling the same story about all the work he's done at the house. And I'm the one that I painted. I painted that shed last spring and take a look at it. It's beautiful. I put in that brick patio 27 years ago and look in the good shape that it's still in. And I did this and I did that. And it just didn't end. But the whole point is everything he was kind of mentioning, that was just regular upkeep of the home. That's just to keep the home in average condition. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, he just made the home worth $10,000 more. That's to keep the home average. So those things don't always make you exactly more money. It will save you money. So by focusing on the CMA results and maintaining a firm, strictly business attitude, you can keep emotions at bay. All right. So we went over we went over guessing versus researching for sellers. And of course, if you have a question here or a comment, please put it in the chat. If you want to give me a call and talk about homes, hey, Jaja, you're waving at me. Thanks for doing that. Just let me know. If you want to call me, 860-558-2122, you can do that. But we went over on my book, we talked about for sellers, guessing versus researching. We talked about don't hire a realtor with the highest price suggestion necessarily. And we talked about subjective pricing. So far in this morning's call, we went over a lot of great buyer secrets. I guess we went the first few minutes without any audio. So if you start this video from the beginning, I guess it's the first 6-7 minutes, the audio didn't work, but I don't know. Then all of a sudden it kicked in. I think there was an issue with that. But then we talked about the buyer's guide, and we talked about the mortgage programs that are available. Now we just talked about the selling secrets. And so remember, I have my buyer's guide available to you free of charge. Just call me or text me or DM me. I have my seller's book about the selling secrets you can't afford to miss. And now lastly, right, not least, but last, right, we're going to talk about navigating probate, a probate home sale. So probate is not always easy. And so this book, once again, I have to make a disclaimer that I'm not an attorney, but many of the issues here, many of the concepts are things that you need to know when selling an inherited home. And these are things which, in most cases have to do with wills and a lot of legal concepts. So a lot of times what I will do is, yes, I will try to answer your questions to the best that I can, but then I'm going to put you in touch with an attorney that can help us confirm everything and make sure you know about any potential complications, because I never want anyone to get in trouble or have any issues because of advice that I'm giving. So most houses that are inherited are passed at the owner's death by the terms of that person's will. A will is a person's last chance to do whatever they wish with their property. It's a legal document with the authority to dictate the disposition of a person's property at death and is very difficult to contest, no matter how apparently unreasonable its terms may be. Sometimes people put things in their will that you would have never thought they would have done it that way. But if that's what they want, that's okay. Yes, someone of testamentary capacity, which means sound mind, really can leave a massive fortune to a charity or a favorite pet and leave nothing to the relatives or the children if they don't want to. I mean, it's up to them. They're the ones who worked for it. They're the ones who then they get to decide what they want to do with it and how they want to deal with it. Okay. So where the maker of the will is the sole owner of a home, that person enjoys complete rights to it. Right. So the person who is the owner of the home, they make the will that they want it to be a certain way and subject to any liens or mortgages, because those, of course, have to be paid off first. They can draft the will the way that they want to so that someone can inherit the property. Now, there's always, well, most of the time, there's an individual appointed to administer or be the administrate of the estate of that deceased person, and that person is called the executor. The executor's main duty is to carry out the instructions of the will, right? So most of the time in that will, it's going to have, okay, here's who the executor is, and they're going to carry out those instructions. Okay. Or it might be appointed in cases where there was by a court. So if it doesn't have it in the will or it's not anywhere that they can find to have an executor, then that person could be appointed by a court. The executor will ensure that the transfer of title happens as stated in the will. So that's pretty much how that goes. Okay. Now, the word probate, we're going to get into this just a little bit. Basically, there's a lot of negative connotations with that, right? But it doesn't have to be difficult or drawn out. Right now, there's 35 states, and I don't have the list of states with me, but I remember reading about this and then kind of looking it up a little bit, that allow simplified probate proceedings. They're called common or informal probate. Okay. So example, sometimes when an executor chooses to pursue common form probate, like the easy one, all they have to do is basically go to the clerk's office and fill out an application and make sure that everything is filled out. And I've actually done that with a couple of people. Not that I'm happy to say that I did, because I felt really bad. I just wanted to help that person so much that I went to the clerk's office, went to the probate court, or the probate office, court office here in the town, and help them to fill out the paperwork so that they can move forward with the issues of the estate. Okay. So remember, in common form probate, the heirs generally have years to decide if they want to contest the will, which might leave the estate in legal limbo. So if the will is not very clear, and the probate court doesn't feel exactly doesn't feel comfortable with it, it could leave things in limbo for a bit. Okay. And so that's important to know. So it is essential to file that will with the probate court. Now, there is also what they call intestate succession. Now, intestate succession means that that property is going to be transferred to another person, right? And there is no will involved. So if there's no will involved, then the state has specific statutes that say, okay, here's the chart and here's how the property is going to be distributed, whether it's going to be to the spouse, whether it's going to be to the children, whether it's a combination of all those. And the laws of every state are definitely different, and they will dictate who inherits the property. And so you need to make sure that if you don't have a will, that you get that. Usually the surviving spouse is going to get the largest share of everything. Okay. There is such a thing called inheritance tax when we talk about probate. So in my book, I talk about it a little bit more. So right now, according to the IRS, right, the estate tax in the United States is a tax on the transfer of the estate of a deceased person, right? That tax applies to the property that is transferred via will or according to the laws of intestate or intestacy. Other transfers that are subject to the tax can include those made through an intestate estate, right? Remember, intestate means without a will or a trust. So the estate tax is one part of the unified gift and estate tax system. And here's how it usually works. Okay. Now, the numbers that I have in here are based upon 2022. Could they have changed a little bit? Yes. But I think for the most part, they're about the same. But who knows? This could change tomorrow. We don't know. And that's why, as I review this with you, if something was to come up today, we would definitely be able to get you in touch with an accountant if you need to, who knows the details, and an estate attorney who knows the latest and greatest details. And that's why I have the disclaimer. I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV, and I'm not an accountant. Okay. Real estate agent. So I'm giving you the basics. I'm trying to help you through it so that you know what are the best things to do if you were to inherit a home. And let's say you're trying to decide whether to keep it or whether to sell it. All right. So the other part of the system, the gift tax, applies to transfers of property during a person's life. So if you gift a property to someone, there could be taxes to that. In addition to the federal estate tax, many states have similar taxes of their own. These taxes may be termed an inheritance tax. So if an asset, meaning a home, is left to a spouse or a federally recognized charity, the tax usually does not apply. So that's good news, right? You leave it to your spouse, usually there's no tax. All right. Or a federally recognized charity. In addition, a maximum amount varying year by year can be given by an individual before and or upon their death without incurring federal gift or estate taxes. So here's what it is: $11.2 million for married couples and half that for an individual, right? The annual gift exclusion amount is $16,000 for 2022. All right. So basically, a lot of people are not going to have to pay an inheritance tax, but there is such a thing. There is such a thing as capital gains taxes, right? Those are applicable when you decide to sell your inherited home for the fair market value or more, because what they're going to do is they're going to value the property when you inherited it as the basis. Okay. So most of the time, when you sell a property immediately after inheriting it, right, you don't have to pay necessarily capital gains because um, it did not have time, over the long run to increase. Right. So remember, if you inherit a home, the basis is going to be the value at which you inherited it. Okay. Again, it's the basis is going to be the value at which you inherit it. So most of the time, you do not have to pay an inheritance tax from that. Okay. So once again, this is my book on probate. This is my book on the secrets to selling. And this is the complete guide to buying. These are all available, at least one of them free of charge. I'm not trying to sell books. Those are free of charge to you if you decide to give me a call at 860-558-2122, or you can text me, or you can DM me, and basically we'll just have a little discussion about what's the caring trusting advice that I can give you. What do you need to learn about? What do you need help with? And then also, the two things is I help people nationwide with referrals, with relocation. I help people nationwide with credit repair and also with the wonderful world of the pre-licensing classes here in Connecticut. So that, my friends, is everything I have to share with you today. I hopefully you learned some information. Hopefully you found it to be very helpful, especially if you're looking to buy a house and you learn about all these different mortgage programs that we have available. If you're looking to do some work on your house, I have everything from referrals for um, power washing your home. I have referrals for a financial advisor. I have a referral for somebody who does solar. I have a referral for an electrician. I have a referral for a plumber. I have a referral for a handyman person as well, which you don't, and I have an estate, a clean out person. So any way in which I can help you, know that I'm available. I hope that you're having a very, very good week. I hope tomorrow or this weekend between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you spend time reflecting upon things with your family and friends during the holiday. Hey, Dwayne, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're having a good morning, all of you. I wish you the best today. And this is Rob Rosa signing out, my friends. God bless you, and always feel free to reach out to me if you need me. We'll talk to you later. Bye.